Hey there, this is Acadius, and welcome to my first episode of Life Lessons with Acadius. Well, this first story I'm going to tell you happened several years ago, and it involves me getting drunk and high. Yes, I used to partake in the extracurricular activity of getting wasted. Not so much these days, just don't feel like it is much. Anyway, so it starts off with me sitting on the back patio of this cafe slash bar. I was there having a beer and reading a book. So about an hour after my initial arrival, a couple friends arrive and they see that I'm drinking. Now, it's always been this big thing among my friends. Whenever they see me drinking, wow, Acadius is drinking. This is a rare sight to see. Let's buy him around. Who am I to say no to free booze? I wasn't driving that night, so I figured, okay, I can enjoy myself. And so one beer turned into, two, and then three, and then a couple of glasses of wine, and another beer. And yes, I do enjoy good wine here and there. So, here we are about an hour and a half after my initial friends are buying me rounds. And an old acquaintance showed up. His name is Joe. And Joe says, "Hey, Acadius, I see you're drinking. Hey, you want to get high?" And I'm like, "Alright, why not?" And, because I never really cared for the taste or smell of marijuana. It just did not sit well with me. So anyway, I'm like, alright, why not? Smoke a couple of bowls. And, so it was Joe, his friend Mike, and a few other people who's I really don't remember. We take a walk behind the building, and he packs the bowl. And I'm like, all right. We smoke through it, and I was feeling fine. I felt like, all right, I'm feeling tipsy, feeling a little high right now. Life's pretty good. And so we decided, okay, we're gonna go back to the cafe slash bar. And I stand up, and that's when I suddenly realize, whoa, my brain is now separated from my body. Because I tried walking in a straight line, and I started veering to the left, just stumbling more or less. Stumbling to the left. And then I try to walk straight again. Now I fumble to the right. So at this point, Joe had just pretty much, well, Acadius can walk somewhat. He's on his own. Well, my other friend, Mike, he saw I was having a hard time, so he was going to just escort me back to the back patio of the building there. And so I kind of lean over into the middle of the parking lot, and those partitions that are in parking lots, they're like long rectangular cement blocks. And so I'm kind of on my hands and knees with my forearms resting on that, because now I feel like I'm just going to toss my cookies. Now, the funny thing is when I get stoned, or when I used to get stoned, I should say, my mind would just play tricks on me and just present a whole different image in itself. So, at this point in the parking lot, I am now vomiting, but in my mind, I'm high above the clouds of that world in the never-ending story. It was at Fantasia, so we got these, majestic white clouds with a blue sky above them, and, it's just very whimsical and serene, and I'm just puking through the clouds. And it's in my mind, I'm like, whoa, this is fantastic, but gross at the same time. So Mike, though, he's standing behind me about 5 feet away, and because he doesn't like the sight or the sound of somebody tossing their cookies. I can't blame him. So he says something to me. Now I respond with, "Yes, Sean, I'm gonna be okay." Well, Mike's standing there. And he looks around. He's like, "Sean, I'm Mike." I'm like, "No, no, no, Sean Connery. He's standing behind you." Because in my mind, in my head, it looked like Sean Connery was standing kind of behind Mike, off to the right, wearing a really nice Armani suit. And Sean Connery's looking at me, and he's like, "It's gonna be okay." And I'm like, "What? Okay, Sean Connery's telling me it's gonna be okay." I'm like, "Okay, fine." And I respond in kind to Sean Connery telling me it's gonna be okay. So Mike's like, "Okay, wow, Acadius is just tossed." And so at that point, I finally get back up because I'm done vomiting through the clouds of Fantasia. And Mike decides, well, we're just going to get you back home. Probably it'd be better for everybody. I mean, what good was I? I was 3 sheets to the wind and stoned. So anyway, I'm leaning on Mike's brand new car, and he's like, "Okay, just don't puke on my car." I mean, he just got this thing, I think, that day or maybe the day before. And I can't blame him. I'd be the same way if I got a new car. Anyway, so Mike decides, well, I'll give Acadius a ride home, and then I can come back and he can rejoin Joe and the other people who got me drunk. And now the thing is, when I get or got high, I suddenly would develop motion sickness. So, keeping that in mind, as we arrived to my apartment complex at that time, I was like, "Oh, great, speed bumps," because you know the initial speed bumps that come through. And the first one, I'm like, "Oh," and then the second one rolls through, and I'm like, "Oh, uh-oh." Mike, being concerned for his brand new car, magically opens up my door while the car is still in motion, and then leans me out with his one hand, saying, "Okay, if you're gonna puke outside my new car." Nothing happened. So he parks, and I get out of the car, and he escorts me to the front door. He says, "Okay, you're good. I'll see you later. Good luck, Acadius." I get inside, and just decide I'm just gonna pass out on my bed. That's it. No shower, nothing. I'm just gonna sleep this one off. And come the next morning, I kind of wake up in that, that foggy haze that your brain has. And what happens is I kind of realize, oh wait, what happened here? I had this white comforter, had being the key word, and now it's covered with red. I mean, it looked like Freddy Krueger paid me a visit and massacred some child. I mean, it's all over. It's my comforter. There's some on the wall. All this looking like blood. And I'm all, it took me about 30 seconds of panic to realize, oh wait, and recall the events of what happened prior. Well, not only was I ingesting beer, but there were a couple of glasses of wine that went through. And apparently, in the middle of the night, I decided, my body said, well, we're going to vomit some more, whether you like it or not. And hence the white comforter being now red and part of the wall being covered with red wine vomit. No big deal. It was gross. Kind of folded everything up, put it in the wash, cleaned off the wall, yada yada yada. So my roommate at that time, she wakes up and I'm in the kitchen having coffee, and she asked me, "Hey, were you on the phone with somebody?" I'm like, "Wait, what?" And I'm thinking, oh no, who did I call? And she said, well, you were just laughing. I'm like, oh. And then suddenly it came back to me. I was talking to Leonardo DiCaprio while I was drunk and high. And apparently we were having a grand old time. And I was laughing my ass off. I just told my roommate, well, I must have been talking to some friends on the phone and whatever. And how am I going to tell her, oh yeah, by the way, when I get freaking stoned, I see celebrities and I have conversations with them. So anyway, the moral of this story is don't get high and then drink. You know, get drunk first and then get high. If you're going to do that. I'm not saying rush out and do that immediately. But anyway, so this is my first story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more, let me know, because I've got plenty of them. I've made some weird-ass choices in my life. Alright, this is Acadius saying thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.